Oh, shoot. Oh, Sam just got it to the face. Oh, and now Walker can't move his shit. You can't mess with the Dora Milaje, not like this. She knew the password to his arm. It wasn't him, don't do it. Oh my God, no. On DisneyPlus.com? Oh my God.
Bro.
That is not Minute Maid.
Oh.
That is human blood.
My God. That's why you don't do steroids, kids.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 4, titled The Whole World is Watching, ends with the whole world watching John Walker make it to World Star. Seriously, now more than ever, MT, what the
Falcon is going on. What? Like, oh, Jesus Lord. That man murked a man live in front of everyone.
This is Inside Marvel. It's New Rockstars After Show for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm Erik Voss, here with MT. MT, how are you feeling after this?
Oof. I'm feeling like John Walker's in a bit of trouble, Erik.
With a capital T that rhymes with S that stands for shield. No, it doesn't rhyme with S. If I were Tommy Bechtold, I could have made that work.
It's okay. It's like, I still believe in you.
Hey, 6 years from now, I'll be cringing as I try to fall asleep thinking, why couldn't I said something funnier? Well, let's do a quick recap. Episode 4 opens in a flashback to Wakanda. And we see Bucky finally break free from his Winter Soldier brainwash. Sebastian Stan crushed it in the scene. It was so beautiful to see. It
was so powerful. I was like, this man is gunning for that Emmy, and they should give it to him. Because I can't cry like that. I cannot.
No, neither can I. Unless it's genuine. But if you asked me to do it while I'm pretending to be someone else, I don't know if I could. Well, then essentially this episode, fight me on this, but we get basically a half hour of nap time with the Flag-Smashers. Look, I have a whole theory. I mean, last breakdown, I talked about how they did have to do a lot of reshooting and recutting to make the Flag-Smasher storyline different than I think what was going to be a virus storyline. And I think that's what we're seeing now is it's just kind of weird back and forth exposition. And it's amazing that they were able to get this much out of it. But it culminates in this kind of scramble where the serum vials spill everywhere. Zemo Mazeltovs them, but there's one last one that gets away. Walker snatches it, and then he gets his masculinity triggered by the Dora Milaje.
Oh, they kick his ass.
They're so great in this scene. But now that he is feeling this way, I guess that juice is loose. He juices up off screen, and then in another fight, Lemar Hoskins sadly dies when Carly punches him into a column, and then Walker he loses it. He takes it out on Flag-Smasher Nico as onlookers record this shield smeared in blood.
The blood of terrorism.
That's right.
Yeah, dude, I feel like the internet has gotten crazy over the past couple of days because we had that Winter Soldier fight in Madripoor all over the news with, you know, Sam in the background. And then now we have a murder by the new Captain America. And I'm sure the government is not too jazzed about it.
A murder that you could argue was at least emotionally justified, but dude took it way too far. That was savage. He didn't need to kill the guy the way he did. And I was honestly thinking he was going to decapitate him, right? I was thinking, whoa, he's bringing down that thing right on his neck. But no, this is Disney Plus, so we kind of just cut to off screen, and then the shield can be covered in blood. This isn't The Boys. I mean, if this was The Boys, heads would be rolling.
I was so shocked that, like, I did thought that they were going to decapitate him, but I was like, this is Disney Plus. I didn't think that. I was like, the fact that they even took it that far and that we even got the blood and that the brutal bludgeoning was kind of it's pretty impressive.
Pretty intense. Yeah. So we're going to talk in this episode about the dark history that led Walker to this moment. Why did he, I mean, we kind of know why he snapped this moment, but what was the 1,000 cuts that led to him making that decision? And really what this means for the legacy of Captain America in the MCU going forward. We're also going to talk about things like what to expect from Sharon Carter or Zemo going forward, because, you know, there's a lot to talk about here. But before we continue, real quick, I am wearing our latest Obsession shirt. It's Anarchy Assembled. You can get this at newrockstarsmerch.com. If you do, you'll unlock an additional option to write in custom shoutouts that will appear at the bottom of the screen in these Inside Marvel after shows. For example, we got Raymond who says, do you guys think that Cap never came back and Old Man Cap is a Skrull? No, that's an interesting theory, but I don't. Old Man Cap has an interesting story to tell. I don't think they're going to make him a Skrull. I
Yeah, that
think
would sort of cheapen his return and his whole story. So yeah, I don't think that that's Kevin Feige's
but
plan.
I do think we'll have some interesting reveals of people who have been Skrulls the whole
Oh
time.
yeah.
But they're going to pick and choose their battles with that in the MCU. I don't think Old Cap is that. And then Pathos Stock says, "All aboard the Zola train!" Woo woo!
Hey, toot
Hey,
toot.
hey, I'm here with you, buddy, up in the dining car, just pigging out before they kick me out to make me go back to my seat. The problem is, we're running out of episodes. With 2 episodes left, and we have seen 0 signs of
Hey,
Zola.
it could
But
easily be an episode 5, episode 6 thing. You never know,
you
Eric.
never know.
You gotta
Hey,
keep faith on the Zola train,
that's
all right?
right. That's right. Next episode's supposed to be a big one. And then Denise Carter says, super fan of you guys, Voss and MT. I'm doing the Zemo dance right now. Oh, thanks. So are we.
Hey, we got the
Appreciate
Zemo
it.
cut. Hey.
We got a full hour of that shit.
It
It's
didn't take
amazing.
several years to release it either, so that was great.
All right, MT, what is our first What the Falcon?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Eric, because our first What the Falcon of the day is what the Falcon happened to John Walker to make him so violent.
Yeah, we have some listeners on stereo who are asking the same thing.
What
This
do you
came from
think
Weird.
is going to happen now John Walker has killed a potentially innocent man, a freedom fighter, in the name of America?
Yeah, another interesting way to frame that question. Like, what's going to happen to him now? How did he get here, and where does he go from here? Well, let's remind ourselves that exactly what happened. John ends this episode having juiced up on the super soldier serum. He was unable to save his partner, Lemar Hoskins. Lemar had stopped Carly from stabbing John. Carly punched Lemar into a pillar, killing him. She was even kind of shocked by how strong she was, but it happened. And then John loses it, and he takes it out on Flag-Smasher Nico. Remember, Nico, this poor dude, he was the one who grew up as a fan of Captain America. He talked about how his grandfather fought alongside the Allied forces in World War II, of which Cap was a part of. And now this dude's blood is smeared all over the stars and stripes.
I mean, if there's any way for you to go, I would, and I was a Cap fan, I would not be terribly upset about being killed by a Captain America. I mean, getting killed is not ideal, but you know.
But it's like, if someone's gonna take me out, might as well be the guy I grew up admiring.
Yeah, if it was Chris Evans, Captain America, about to take my life, I'd be like, wow, I must have deserved it. I must have done something wrong.
I feel the same way, MT. I grew up having a Bobby's World poster where he was picking his nose and it said, "I'm not picking my nose, I'm pointing to my brain." And my whole life, I've wanted, if anything were to take me out of this world, I want it to be Howie Mandel's animated childhood self, just strangling me slowly and putting his finger up my nose and saying, "I'm pointing to your brain."
I'm gonna poke your brain, boss. I'm gonna poke your brain through your nose.
That's what I roll around thinking of all night. Like, oh God, where's he gonna come? Where's he gonna come?
It's Howie. He's coming.
He's already in me. That's the truth. Yeah.
Oh boy, that's not gonna get taken out of context at all.
Oh, you just made it weird. I was talking about astral projection, and damn it. Well, we gotta cut that
Woo,
now.
it's too late.
That's a stereo exclusive, is what that means. Okay, let's talk about how this happened. So Lemar reminded us that Erskine told Steve Rogers in the first Cap film that the serum just kind of amplifies what you already are inside. And so what's inside John Walker? Well, it seems like a Boy Scout, right? Like Lemar praised his medals of honor, but Walker made this interesting reference to what he and Lemar had to do in Afghanistan. And he said, you and I both remember what we had to do to get those medals. It just kind of sounds like they had to make some in the moment of action, like choices, horrible choices, as all soldiers do. Sometimes they might have had to, unfortunately, let some of their own men die, even though that's not necessarily their fault, but they just feel that guilt with them. And then it doesn't feel like a medal of honor. It feels like a medal of survivor's guilt.
Yeah, like a medal of like shame almost. And like, like they definitely had to do some things that led to the deaths of their fellow soldier buddies. But I'm sure that they did horrible things to like the people in Afghanistan.
That too.
Like women, children. Like war is a very ugly thing. And like we don't see a lot of the very horrific sides of war. And they are just alluding to that. It's like, everyone thinks that we're heroes, but I don't really feel like a hero with all that stuff that we did.
Right. And like we know that that John has not been okay. This entire
No.
series, John has not been okay. Like when we started with him in that locker room, you could tell that he was not comfortable with this position. He kind of longed for the days of just being a simple football star, where he could, hang out with his like football buddies with his girlfriend at the time, who's now his wife. And then ever since then, we've seen him looking, and this is just so great by Wyatt Russell that he's been able to show this non-verbally, because he's been looking frustrated and impatient. He rubs his head as if he's suffering from migraines. Something has been nagging at him. And in this episode, you see him, and I know this isn't that big a deal, but he stopped shaving. It looks like his hair was like growing long over the course of that day, because like it looked like he just had a bit of scruff. And by the end of the episode, he had like a full Erik Voss faux scruff. Like just a little fuzz to keep his non-existent chin from distracting viewers.
Yo, he's trying to steal your whole flow. He was like, that Erik Voss, he's a suave man. I gotta steal his flow.
But it's like, for him, it's a big deal because he's such a polished soldier, and now he's just like letting himself go. He's like, he doesn't give a shit anymore. And it's scary to see.
I honestly, it's literally the weight of the shield and him trying to fill Steve Rogers' shoes that has been driving him crazy. Like the fact that he was even in that country looking for Sam and Bucky. He wasn't supposed to be there, because at the end of the last episode, it was like, we're going to do things a little bit off the book. And like, they're not going to care like how we do it as long as we get it done. And so, he's just, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to prove myself in the eyes of the public that I'm fitting. And so he stops shaving and he starts to do some crazy stuff. And now a man is dead.
Exactly.
A man is dead.
Now, if you've been following along with what the history of John Walker is in the comics, you could kind of see this snap as an inevitable thing, as many snaps are inevitable. Blah, blah, blah.
Nice.
Because in the comics, John Walker always kind of had a big ego. He was a very different character. He's like aggressively lobbying for the Cap title. He stages these rallies. He stages fake attacks on himself to make him look like more of a Captain America style hero. He kind of goes from being this character named Super Patriot to actually replacing Steve Rogers as Cap when Steve walks away from the Shield. And then this gang called the Watchdogs kill his parents, and that's the moment he snaps. He descends into the murderous rage we see. So in this show, Lemar Hoskins has kind of filled that role. His death has kind of made him lose it.
R.I.P. Daddy Hoskins.
Yeah. But I gotta hand it to Wyatt Russell, because like the way he has played this character has made him so more sympathetic, and you don't want to see him. It feels heartbreaking when he picks up that shield and brings it down in rage, because you know the human that was there before that monster took over.
Yeah, and like it's so sad seeing him trying his best to be a really good Captain America, because his heart's in the right place. His mind just isn't in the right place, unfortunately, because he is, he does have all this probably PTSD from what he's been doing in Afghanistan, and like the weight of being a soldier and like him wanting to do the right thing. It's just and like with Lamar's death, it just threw him right over the edge. And with what did Zemo say that about power and making revealing who you really are or something like that?
Yeah, I think they were all kind of talking about this episode. Lemar Hoskins brought it up with him, and then but Zemo was saying, I think this whole lesson was a lesson on the dangers of superheroes. And they linked the term superhero with supremacist, which I find interesting, because we associate supremacists with like white supremacist, with like with bigotry and extremism. But really they come from the same kind of notion, because Johann Schmidt and Arnim Zola were trying to create the Superman. And the idea, the history of superhumans and superheroes in American comics in the 20th century was out of that whole idea. Like Jerry Siegel making and Joe Shuster making Superman in the 30s. We're trying to recapture and Americanize the version of that, because up until that point, it was the Nazis trying to experiment on the idea of how do we create the perfect Aryan human being. And The Boys has explored this history really well on Amazon with like Homelander and Stormfront, and that whole history of like what it means to manufacture a superhero and how that's a little problematic. Captain America over at Marvel was kind of the same thing. It was those guys, Joe Simon, trying to create like, no, on our first cover, we're going to show this American version of the Superman punching Hitler in the face and rejecting that creepy version of it, and saying that we can have an ideal to strive towards. But like looking back on the history of it, it's just another side of the same coin of like this idea of we need to create a peak perfect human being. There's no such thing as that. And when you do try to
Yeah.
do that, you're going to break someone's mind. And that whole idea of supremacy and super soldier, it's not that far off from each other. It's not too crazy to say those two are linked.
So are you saying right now, Eric, that nobody's perfect and that we got to work it every day till we get it right? Is that what you're saying?
You put it in such better terms.
But no, yeah, you're 100% right, because like I do like the link between the supremacy and superpowers, because that like you said, that's literally what is going on, like like a weird like evolutionary supremacy in a way. It's like, let's make I believe the Germans, at least in the comics anyway, the Ubermensch, is that
The
I think
Ubermensch.
that's
That
their
was
term for
either Kierkegaard or Nietzsche's term. I think it was Kierkegaard came up with that idea, the Ubermensch.
yes, the Superman.
Yeah.
And so, with these new superpowered people more popping up in Marvel as time goes on, there is this weird like us versus them sort of thing probably going on within the minds of the regular people. It's like, oh no, like with mutants coming, like perfect example. It's like, oh no, these mutants are probably gonna, like, when the mutants come, they're gonna be like, oh my god, like we feel threatened, and that's where that mutant hate comes from. So like, those are those seeds of like supremacy that they're starting to sow in, so that the viewers can sort of get adjusted to thinking and getting ready to think the way that the MCU populace could be thinking, or get an idea of how they could be thinking in the future.
Agreed. Yeah, and I think well, now we have to think about, what does this mean for Captain America going forward? The whole world now sees the Captain America figure they've known have a shield with blood all over it after he savagely butchered someone in the street, in the public. So is this where we're headed? Is the Captain America legacy, are they gonna have to destroy the shield by the end of this? Is that the only way forward? Or does it just end up in a museum? Or does it have to get, reappropriated to someone who's none of these people?
Well, first of all, Eric, it's got to be washed first, because that blood is it can't stay there.
Leave it, like Invincible. Leave it as a reminder.
Like, exactly. That would be a badass little thing if they just like painted blood on there. But no, it would be. I think that A, that's a really good question, and B, like I said before, John Walker and Lemar Hoskins were not supposed to be there, and so having, and like with countries, they are like, countries around the world sort of hate the United States in a way because of the history of us like sort of just going into countries and just doing whatever we want and like not asking permission. And so a murder happening on foreign soil by an American agent on like international news everywhere is not going to go well. And so
even if that guy who killed was labeled an international terrorist, like Harley Morgenthau, all the Flag Smashers were considered terrorists, it still looks really, really unsettling and terrifying to have the stars and stripes of the shield covered in blood of someone you killed in the street. It's just not gonna go.
It's not a good image.
I just think it's going to sour people on the idea of Captain America, but I honestly feel like it's going to draw battle lines. I think some people are going to be like, yes, finally, this is a Captain America we wanted. That's how it works in society, is that some people are like, yep, the guy deserved it. And I've wanted to see some blood proudly smeared, because that's what this is all about, is we're not afraid to kill our enemies when they attack us. Like, I think that's going to be the creepy side effect of this. It's going to politicize Captain America, someone who should never be politicized. It should be someone who just represents the goodness in America and the good virtues and values. But do those exist anymore in 2021, or in this case in 2024, in a post-blip society, and in our world, a post a lot of other things society? Like, some would say those virtues don't exist. Some would say those virtues never existed.
It's all about, like Zemo was saying, it's like making icons into things that can't really exist, like making Captain America this like god figure, and like there's a danger in that. And so I don't really know what happens with the with the Captain America legacy after this, but like it makes a pretty good case for Sam. That's all I know.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. John Walker is clearly not my Cap, and not MT's Cap, I would imagine.
Either. Oh no.
But I think this has to end with, I think John Walker's done. I don't he's either gonna have to retire, or he's gonna have to be destroyed, and it's just gonna be so hard to watch.
Well, if you think about it, he's now juiced up, and the government doesn't really know that yet. So, like, knowing the United States government, they're probably going to be like, "Hold on, let's think about this, because now we have a
Now we
white
have an asset.
strong man,
Right.
and makes us even better. So, like, we can just brush this under the rug, and now we're happy that we have a strong Captain America again." So,
Yeah, but I still think no matter who is excited about him, we know people hate super soldiers in this world.
mhm,
I think there's a good chance that either Carly or Zemo or Sam or Bucky are going to be the one to kill John Walker. Or
mm.
I don't necessarily want to see this, but I could see a dark path ahead where he might have to destroy himself.
Ooh, that
Or
would be
just do it
dark.
by accident or something,
That would be
because
some
the guy's
dark shit.
so destructive. That
Yeah.
destruction could be turned inward, I think.
I mean, ooh, that's a really interesting idea. I never really thought about. I'm gonna think about that tonight.
I don't like to think about it either, to be honest. But it's just like, what more could be done? This guy
Yeah.
is, in the same way that, like, on The Boys, like, what could be lying ahead for Homelander? Well, Homelander is
Mm,
essentially a god walking on Earth, but it's like, there's no way, there's no future for characters like that. They're beyond redemption, I
mm,
think, at this point, you know? So either they're going to take a redemption arc and then he just steps away from the shield, but he can't keep going on. This is a short fuse that he is on, I think.
yeah. And like he's only getting more and more unhinged, and so it's only a matter of time before something's got to give in some type of way. Like, hopefully
Yeah.
it's not dark, but like, good God, like, this man can't handle the pressure. He just wasn't
Yeah.
right for the job.
Yeah, I mean, looking at how alliances are, I think basically John Walker's going to be an army of one. Like
Mm,
he's going to be on his own path. I don't even think he's going to fight on behalf of his country anymore. He's just going to
mm,
go rogue. And I think Sam and Bucky are going to have to join up with the Flag-Smashers. We already heard Sam this episode basically echoing their talking points. He's essentially a Flag-Smasher who's just not paying his dues yet, you
yeah.
know? So I think that's where things are gonna be aligned. I think Sharon Carter's gonna be helping out with her weird satellite tech in Madripoor, and then Zemo is gonna be a rogue agent of his own. So you got to imagine the two rogue agents that are out there, and everyone else is just trying to get them from causing more collateral damage. I think I think there's more of a future for Zemo in this universe than there is for John Walker.
Yeah, for
So I'm
sure.
just
Like,
saying, if one has to kill the other, I think Zemo still might kill John Walker.
if anyone's gonna survive this whole series, it's gonna be Zemo, because they're
Yeah,
obviously setting Zemo up for bigger things in the MCU, as they should, because he's a very big force.
yeah.
But with John Walker, it's like we could easily see the beginnings and ends of John Walker in this series. Um,
Absolutely. I could imagine this being a tragic cautionary tale of what happens when the wrong people get that super soldier
yeah,
serum.
and it like
Yeah.
exactly, and like with a cautionary tale like this, it just serves to make Steve Rogers look even better, because he had all this power, and he didn't, and he was a very selfless person to the degree that he could lift Mjolnir, which is
Right.
insane.
Well, before we get to, because we have a lot other questions we want to talk about. First, we want to thank some people who helped us make this episode. Our friends
Hmm.
at Blue Chew. This episode was sponsored by Blue Chew. Blue Chew is making waves and bringing more confidence to the bedroom. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets combat all forms of ED and can help men gain that extra confidence for when it is time to perform. You don't need blue super soldier serum. There's another little blue friend that you can chew. Goes down a bit easier, doesn't make it crazy, just gives you that confidence. Um, Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy, and it ships
Nope.
right to your door in a discreet package.
No,
Sign
no,
up at
no.
bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days, and it's all done online. Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. And if you don't like swallowing pills, no problems. Blue Chew's tablets are chewable. So for extra confidence when it's time to perform, visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use the promo code Inside Marvel at checkout. Just pay $5 in shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code Inside Marvel to receive your first month free. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this episode. And we want to thank Mint Mobile for sponsoring us. There's always a catch with the big wireless providers with
Mhm,
all that fine print. So when I heard
mhm.
Mint Mobile offers premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month, I thought, hey,
Dang.
what's the catch here? But after speaking with them, I found out that there is no catch. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they are the first company to sell wireless service online only. by cutting out retail stores. There's no crazy overhead costs that get passed down to you in the form of those mystery fees. Mint just passes on the sweet savings. And they're sending me a SIM card that I'm excited to try the service and save some money. And people looking for extra savings, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. And if you're not 100% satisfied, Mint Mobile has you covered with their 7-day money-back guarantee. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the phone shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/marvel. That's mintmobile.com/marvel. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/marvel. Hey, and before we continue, real quick, if you've been following along with our show Fitness Origins that comes out on Sundays, it's me and Tommy just getting in shape in a real nerdy fitness challenge. It's a lot of fun. Philip has brought us in on that process, but there's a whole bunch of other ways you can get involved with this, including doing these workouts at home, because that's how Tommy and I are doing them. And I just go down to my apartment rec room. Tommy does it in his living room, and we're able to get in shape just by doing these kind of simple core things, just like laying out on the ground and planking. And you can follow along with these by subscribing to the Epic Hero Fitness YouTube channel, and you can see the proper versions of how to do all of these so that you can kind of follow along and join this journey with us. So again, just go to the Epic Hero Fitness YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe. Hopefully by the time you do that, all those videos will be up. I know they're working really fast to try to get them up. There's also a bunch of bloopers on there because there's a lot that cannot even fit into the episode that we want to release there. So that's a great place to go check that out if you're interested in Fitness Origins on the channel. All right, so we have another question that we want to take from Stereo.
Do you think that Sharon hasn't been pardoned because the CIA wants somebody on the inside of the power broker's inner circle?
The question there basically is, what the Falcon is Sharon Carter's connection to the power broker? What do you think, MT?
I mean, I definitely think that she is working for the power broker in some degree, whether or not that is, undercover as a CIA agent. We've yet to see. I do also suspect that she's doing some type of undercover work with the CIA or something that she cannot tell anybody about, even Bucky and Sam. But she is working for the power broker and has seemingly gained the power broker's trust in some degree.
Well, there's been a lot of theorizing about Sharon Carter, like, is she the power broker herself? Is she deep cover? Is she deep cover? Is she a triple agent? And it's like, folks, 2 episodes left. Two episodes left, and we have a lot of other storylines that they seem to care way more about than what is Sharon Carter's deep cover. Now, look, TV shows do this all the time, right? Like, if you watch 24 or if you watch Alias, that kind of shit, it's like, whoa, you're actually serving this, so I wouldn't put it past the show. I wouldn't put it past the show to make Sharon Carter a Skrull. I think that's doable as well. I'm just saying, if she is working on behalf of the CIA, would the CIA want to fund an asset in Madripoor to live in an expensive ass penthouse in Hightown, trading expensive stolen art? I don't think the CIA, that would just be too many steps for the CIA. True. She could just live, simply, meagerly, and kind of work in his organization and live low profile, rather than live this lavish lifestyle where she's running around killing people. That's not how the CIA, that's not how any government funded person operates.
Unless they were already. Cover, that's a good cover,
right? Right. And that's what's hard to argue with people about this. It's like, that's exactly what they want you to think. It's like, I'm sure. But do I think they're going to give us 8 minutes of a scene to explain this when we have 2 episodes left? I don't think that's a show's priority, But this is just an example of you bring up a lot of questions when you write a character so bizarrely as they have written Sharon Carter on this show. She is over the top. She's weird. She's not who she was. And I don't understand her character. I feel like the writers didn't understand her character, but Kevin Feige's like, no, you got to bring her back in this. They're like, okay, fine. We're just going to make her freaking crazy. It'd be one thing if she was alive during the blip, because then we're talking years and years and years, like 7 years, 2 years on the run, 5 years in the blip, that would change her. No, this woman was on the run for 2 years. She dusted. Her face appeared on the dust screens at the beginning of Endgame. Gone for 5 years, rematerializes 5 years later, who knows where, and then 6 months later she's able to like get to this point where she's a crazy arts dealer. Would the CIA even care about her at that point, to use her as an asset to get to the power broker? No, I just think she works for the power broker, and that explains why she has access to all this stolen art. He just thinks she's really good at this, and she's kind of serving him and making him money and that kind of thing.
Well, like in regards to the whole like Sharon Carter showing up on the in Endgame as the list of the vanished, I think that they just didn't know where she was. I think that she was probably. You think that she was actually dusted?
No, I think she was dusted. I think that was the screenwriter's implication of that. Now, Scott Lang was not dusted; he was just gone. But like, disappeared in the quantum realm is not the same thing as just like not picking up your phone. Like Cap would have checked in with her. She would not have refused to answer Cap's call. If you know, like she showed up on that board, and that was the idea: is that these are people who have actually dusted, with the exception of Scott Lang, because that was setting up when Scott Lang reappears, and they're like, "Oh, we thought you dusted." If she was just hiding in Madripoor, there's no way she would not have picked up the phone if Cap called. She was desperate for attention from the Avengers during that time.
It's true.
So I just don't buy that. I just think she's a weird character on the show, and that weird character forces us to like look at a bunch of crazy tweets from people, and I'm like, we're getting at the point now in the show, folks, where we want it to be something that it is not.
Yeah.
Because this is just this is a show that they had to like re-edit, and they had to change a lot of storylines around because there was a whole COVID storyline, and we're lucky it is as good as it is. I'm loving what they're doing with the character of John Walker. I love the history of Bucky and showing how the Wakandans helped him clear his memory. I'm liking the story with Sam Wilson and how he's having to deal with the economic realities of being the guy he is. Like, that's interesting to me, but the Flag Smashers, but Sharon Carter, all this stuff is weird, and it's because they had to recut it. It's not because they have some deeper conspiracy at work.
I say we release the pre-COVID cut. I'm just kidding.
I want to see it. I'm going to do a whole video on that. That's going to come out on the channel on Monday, because that, I think the world needs to like step back and look at, whoa, there's just a whole other storyline here. And that's why things are as weird as they are. That's why characters leave these loose ends. Because otherwise it doesn't make sense to write characters the way they're writing them if you are setting it up to be a twist reveal. Like that would be, if they did reveal her to be the power broker herself, or, you know, working these other angles. Like if she does become a Skrull, I'm going to be a little disappointed. I'm going to be like, Jesus Christ, another one? Like,
I was sort of like, it's the same way with Spider-Man Far From Home with Nick Fury and Maria Hill. They had a really dope moment with the rocket launcher, and I was like, oh man, this is one of my favorite Nick Fury moments. And like, oh, it wasn't Nick Fury. It's just it's another Skrull. All right, cool.
Yeah, I'll say that I was okay with Fury and Maria Hill being a Skrull, just because that felt fun, and you can do one of those. But if you like
everyone
do
gets
it
one.
in every property, they did it in WandaVision. They have a Skrull showing up in Loki. It's like, it's okay if it's just like a fun background goofball thing. Like I liked how in WandaVision it was someone who we didn't know and didn't already have, you know, we didn't really care about. So I'm okay with that. But like, it's not gonna hit as hard in Secret Invasion if you make it characters we know before Secret Invasion. You know, that's the whole cool thing in the Secret Invasion of Who Can You Trust, because that comic series opens with like a ton of people between like, you know, Spider-Woman and Hank Pym and a bunch of people. It's like, oh, whoa. How long have you been a Skrull? You know, so you need to save that. You got to save that. Anyway, I've been ranting too much. Let's take another question. Oh, actually, I think this is one.
Hey, love the show, guys. It's amazing.
Thank you.
What did you guys think about? They kept lingering when Lemar was tied up to that dripping water, and then they did flash back to him during the chase down scene at the end. I know, like, his spine got shattered, but any possibility he could be alive or come back or just anything. He was a great character.
Yeah, I think Lemar is dead. He felt his pulse. I don't think Lemar juiced up on anything. I think the idea of that scene, the emotional context of that scene, is that Lemar died, and I think having him not be dead would be too much of a wait. What? You kind of lose your audience if you twist them that much.
Yeah, no, Lemar is 100% dead, and like you said, Lemar was John Walker's Jiminy Cricket. He sort of. He was like, you know, in a weird way, because like he was sort of being like his like reason. It's like, hey man, why don't you calm down? You're kind of being a little bit crazy, but like he did support John, and he was like, I'm with you through the end of the line in their own way. But like, you know, it's with his death, that was supposed to symbolize there's no real turning back for John Walker. This is just who I am now. I'm going to be 100% ego driven. There's no one stopping me. my link to my childhood that, well, my childhood best friend is gone, and the only one that could really maybe help him turn around is maybe his wife, but his wife doesn't come with him to work. So
No.
I don't think so.
Right.
Yeah, Lemar is dead.
But I'm glad you asked about this dripping water, because that was really weird. They kept, like, when Lemar was trying to get out of the restraints with his knife, they kept framing him behind, like, and if you look in the wide shot of that room, there are showers on the side. There are kind of like these open shower stalls, because I think this facility was used as a hospital, so I think they kind of had that set up for if they need to have showers, they're just kind of open there.
Yeah.
But I guess one of the showers is still dripping because some people don't turn the knob all the way back, and their work.
It's not environmentally friendly. Make sure it's all the way off. Just do
Yes.
it.
Yeah, so, but I think what this was, honestly, was just, we know director Kari Skogland likes to do these stylistic flourishes, like how she put the camera up in Bucky in the therapist's face in that opening episode. And it's just like, why are we doing this? And it's kind of just more of an artistic choice. And I think the idea was like, it's the feeling that time is running out, even though it's kind of this artificial ticking clock in a scene, just like a dripping water, something that kind of gives you anxiety. And I think in that moment, Lamar's like, I'm missing out on the fight. I'm feeling anxiety, and I need to get out. But, like, it was almost framed in a way of, like, oh, a bomb's about to go off, or, oh, lighter fluid or gasoline filling, and he's going to catch on fire. Like, it's just one of these weird things where I was like, what was the intent behind that? Is he drowning? Is he like the colonel from Hydra that Zemo drowned upside down? It's like, careful, this drip, drip, drip is going to fill this room, and you're going to drown. I have the same questions, like, why did they tie him up? Why didn't they just kill him? If they're trying to kill these guys who are threats to them, it drives me nuts in movies and shows where it's like, tie them up. It's like, no.
Yeah, like the James Bond, like, yes, tie him up, and then I'm going to tell him my plan, and then have this really elaborate way of killing him that he's going to escape.
Yeah. I mean, these Flag-Smashers weren't Carly, who I believe is the most extreme of them, so I can understand why they might react to Carly bombing that building the last episode and being like, well, we'll just tie this one up. But, like, it's just like, well, you know what's going to happen if you tie him up. He's just going to come back and he's going to punch you, and then he died because, and it created all these other problems. Anyway, so that's what it was. I think it was Kari Skogland, the director's stylistic choice for what that dripping water was. And again, one of these loose-end choices where it's like, everyone on the show, behind the scenes, just seems to be making choices that are good in their own tunnel, but it does not seem to be a big union with each other. And I think it's because they had to butcher this thing back together in post-production. And like all the cool stuff that Kari Skogland probably intended had to be scrapped in order to make a sensible narrative. And ultimately, I don't have any shame pointed towards that, because that's how all movies and TV are. You take the best takes you got on your day, you stitch it together in post-production, and you do your best to salvage what you have and produce a narrative with audio mixing, with editing, with VFX. That's what all of it is. And we learned that lesson very much with the Snyder cut. Like Zack Snyder could completely assemble a fully new narrative just really with post-production and using other footage that he had. So and completely change the meaning of a work. And I think that's what they had to do here.
That's all rationality and logic, Eric. I think the real reason behind the dripping water is that they wanted to make Lemar feel like he had to pee. So Lemar, that's why Lemar he was just cutting himself out. He's like, I gotta go. I gotta get out of these restraints. And that's what gave him the motivation.
Yeah, they also had his hand like just sitting in a warm glass of water.
And now you'll pee yourself, Battlestar.
From this Battlestar. That sounds like a freaking Bond thing. Battlestar. Okay, let's ask another What the Falcon here.
The next What the Falcon of the day is what the Falcon was the meaning behind Sam and Bucky's reaction to Zemo saying there has never been another Steve Rogers, right?
Yeah, during that supremacist conversation, I might be reading too much into that, but I feel like they just they didn't answer. And I think the obvious implication of that scene was no one can have the unique moral character that Steve Rogers had before. That was a one and done kind of thing. But they could also be referring to Isaiah Bradley in that moment. They're like, well, we did have another Steve Rogers figure who, just like, because the government didn't take care of him and tortured abused him, that like he was unfortunately just stuck where he is now. But like, I can't help but wonder, in the first episode there are these conspiracy theories that old Cap is on the moon. Like, is that Sam in that moment being like, Well, there was another Steve Rogers. We had one who went back in time. Another old one came back from somewhere, and he's on the moon now. I don't know if he's on the moon. He's somewhere, I think is the implication. He's somewhere
Yeah.
retired. So I kind of just like their hush hush moment there. Did you see anything there, MT?
I mean, I do tend to lean more towards the, the obvious implication of like, all right, there hasn't really been another Steve Rogers. He's like this really, great guy who was like this sort of this fluke in the system and like became this hero. But I mean, there could be something to that line. I mean, they did share a really weird reaction to Zemo saying that. So like, hey, maybe, I mean, just to like, stoke the conspiracy fire, maybe they know of a Steve Rogers Skrull, and like they're not like there's two Steve Rogers, and there technically has been another Steve Rogers in our past. But like, I obviously don't really think that. But like, hey, you're totally right though. There was a weird reaction there, and there could be something that we learn at the end of the series that we look back and be like, oh, so that's what that reaction meant. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really strange reaction.
Let's take another question from our listeners on stereo here.
Let's do it.
What would have happened had the Dora Milaje actually taken the shield instead of leaving it behind?
Oh, that is a good What the Falcon. Why did they allow John Walker to keep the shield, assuming it was made of vibranium? This is a question I've wondered about. My only thought is that either Wakanda is just okay with the Captain America shield just being what it is, and they no longer identify it as their property, even though it is made of vibranium. I would assume they would know that it's made of vibranium because they have a very good history of keeping track of where all their vibranium goes in the world. And my thinking is that this shield is not made of vibranium, and that's why she's okay. Because my long theory is that because old Cap came from an alternate timeline, that shield could have been made out of proto-adamantium, which is like an alloy that involves vibranium, but is not the pure vibranium that I think the Wakandans would consider their property. And that's why they were okay with doing it. But what do you think would happen if they took it? Like, what would that mean? I mean, John Walker could still juice up with super soldier serum at that point. I don't know if he needs the shield.
The reason why they didn't take it is because it was caused like a really huge international incident because the shield is such a huge American symbol. And so like with the end of Black Panther, with them trying to establish themselves as a more open country and like develop, relationships with different countries and all that stuff, they were just like, it's not worth it. Like, let's just let them have it. We have all the vibranium in the world anyway. So like, we don't really need it. But yeah, it really, I think, just boils down to international politics and them not really wanting to make a scene because like they're there to just take Zemo. They're supposed to be in and out. Like no one, like they're sort of like act like ninjas in a way. So like they don't really want to make a scene. So they're just like, all right, just have it, whatever. Well, if we really wanted it, we could take it anytime anyway.
Right.
So
exactly.
Whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a good answer, MT, for sure. But let's look ahead to episode 5 of next week because it is rumored to be a big one. Series creator Malcolm Spellman teased that some cameo is coming, whom he would like to partner with Thor. So, looking ahead to what we know is left from promo footage, right? We know that like Sam and Bucky are probably going to return to Sam's Wilson family home. They're going to somehow get the shield and throw the shield around trees. Unless that whole storyline was cut and was only in trailers. But if so, it'd be weird for them to keep showing it in trailers. We know Zemo's going to return to Sokovia because he's going to go to that Sokovian memorial. But who do we think this surprise cameo is going to be? Are we going to meet the Power Broker, do you think?
I mean, I hope we meet the Power Broker eventually at some point during the series. But I honestly think, and this came to my like brain like a couple of days after we recorded the Rogue Theory that we did on this. I think it's going to be D-Man, Demolition Man, that they're going to introduce because Demolition Man also got his powers from the Power Broker. And as we see with John Walker juicing himself up with the Power Broker juice, I think that Sam and Bucky are going to want to learn more about who's been juiced up by the Power Broker potentially. And then that's when we are introduced to D-Man, who is a very great character. And I really, really sincerely hope that he's in this series. But who do you think the surprise cameo?
That's a big swing for sure. No, I have a feeling that I mean, I've been on this Mandarin train for a bit, just because I think the Power Broker is going to be connected to the Mandarin in some ways, maybe not, but I think whoever the Power Broker is going to be the one that he wants to partner with Thor, just because there's like a sense of royalty. I think the Power Broker, and he's going to have this weird like alternate world in Madripoor that he lives, and I think Thor does well in those kind of weird, trippy like rules of respect that one has to show royalty.
Yeah.
How Thor grew up. So maybe that's what Malcolm Spellman was talking about. But Spellman was also saying this is someone who's going to be a very, very grounded character. There's been a lot of theorizing that it could be the Mutant Omega Red. Might show up in the show. Again, that doesn't sound like a very grounded character. Maybe the way.
There's nothing more grounded than mutants, Erik. I see mutants on the streets every day.
Yeah. So, I think that this big cameo, I mean, I don't know what other questions they have. We set up someone in Wakanda, right? Or we set up the Wakandans, the Dora Milaje, to show up. What are the people in this world, based with 2 more episodes left? Are they going to reveal a completely new character who hasn't even been referenced yet? Probably not, right? So, I don't know. I would assume it'd be the Power Broker. I'm just trying to think from a screenwriter's perspective. I don't think they would bring in a character who they did no foreshadowing of or no references to, or would currently, as we know, the series make no sense in the plot. It's going to be a story-driven reason why this character joins, rather than just like, hey, fans want to see Omega Red in this,
We'll see. I mean, I hope it's D-Man. It would be cool if it was the Power Broker, so we could learn more about him. And you know what just popped into my mind just now? What would be crazy? This is like a crazy idea. What if Valkyrie was the Power Broker?
That'd be nuts.
Because she's like, ruling, like she's on Earth and she's part of Asgard. And like, what if she's just doing her own thing and just being a bad person? Yeah. I don't know. But like, obviously I don't think that, but like, it's just something that popped into my mind.
Yeah, she'd be fun. And we know what it's like when she's teamed up with Thor. Like that is very fun to watch. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know. Basically, I'm at the point now with the show where it's like, Loki can't come soon enough. Let's just get it.
I'm sort of getting really itchy for Loki because I'm just like, yo, there's some really interesting stuff, and I've been reading about the TVA and like, oh man, it's gonna be great.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us for this episode of our Falcon Winter Soldier after show. MT and I are going to be back next Friday for our reaction to episode 5. We have a lot we got to get through. There's going to be some fun stuff to break down in this episode for sure. So I'm going to jump on that right now. But you can follow MT at Mastertainment. Follow me at EA Voss. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to these Inside Marvel podcast feeds wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And we'll close out with our favorite moment of the episode.
Looking strong, John.